Long before we had streaming services, we had cable and satellite as well. But I really liked watching stuff on cable TV back in the day before going to satellite. But in 1996, we got one real warped out, crazy movie here with Jim Carrey as this titular character, plus Matthew Broderick as well. Here's my review of The Cable Guy. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Dual, better known to as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a review of the 1996 psychological thriller comedy flick, The Cable Guy, released by Columbia, directed by Ben Stiller, written by Lou Holtz Jr., starring Jim Carrey as the titular character, along with Matthew Broderick, Leslie Mann, Jack Black, George Segal, Diane Baker, and a host of others. The film focuses, on an eccentric cable installer who becomes overly intrusive in the life of a customer. This was a big success, though not to the extent of many of Mr. Carey's previous films that came out, like after he had done films like Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and its sequel, and more recently before that, Batman Forever. I know he did some other films, as a few films before this also. Well, I think you understand what I'm saying. The film, nevertheless, was still a success at the box office and has attained a cult following, considering it got mixed reception. Well, let's get on to the story. Architect Stephen Kovacs moves into an apartment after a failed marriage proposal to his girlfriend Robin Harris. Taking advice from his friend Rick, Stephen bribes cable installer Ernie Chip Douglas into giving him free movie channels. Chip gets Stephen to hang out with him the next day and makes him one of his preferred customers. Chip takes Stephen to the city's central satellite dish, where he confides to Stephen about being raised by television due to the frequent absences of his single mother. Chip soon proves to be intrusive as he crashes a basketball game between Stephen and his friends and leaves multiple messages on Stephen's answering machine. Following a night's duel between Chip and Stephen at medieval times, Stephen finds that Chip has secretly installed an expensive home theater system in his living room as a gift in return for Stephen's friendship. Although Stephen declines the gift, he agrees to host a party attended by Chip's other preferred customers before having the system returned. In the favor of the party, Stephen sleeps with a young guest whom Chip reveals the next morning to have been a prostitute that he had hired specifically for Stephen. Upon this revelation, Stephen angrily ejects Chip from his apartment. To make amends, Chip tracks down Robin, who is dating another man. A disguised Chip severely beats a man in a restaurant bathroom and tells him to stay away from Robin. He later upgrades Robin's cable, ostensibly as a gift from Steven. Robin decides to get back together with Steven as a result. However, when Chip informs Steven of his role in reuniting him with Robin, Steven politely ends his relationship with Chip. Devastated, Chip sets out on a series of vengeful acts. He gets Steven arrested for possession of stolen property and mocks him through a prison visitation window. After being released on bail, Steven is further embarrassed when Chip attends dinner with his family and Robin, following a sexualized version of the game Password. Steven openly berates Chip and punches him. The next day, Steven is fired from his job when Chip transmits a privately recorded conversation in which Steven insults his boss onto the company's computers. Alright, now for the final act and the ending. As always, you know the procedure. You have 5 seconds to stop this video, go to the description box below, fast forward to the time below. If you've seen the movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. Rick investigates Chip at Steven's request and finds that Chip was fired from the cable company for stalking customers and uses the names of various television characters as aliases, such as Chip and Ernie Douglas from My Three Sons, George Jetson from The Jetsons, and Larry Tate from Bewitched. Chip calls Steven that night, telling him he is paying Robin a visit. After visiting Robin's empty apartment, Steven tracks them down to the satellite dish, where Chip holds Robin hostage in a rainstorm. After a physical altercation and a chase, Steven is able to save Robin. As the police arrive, Chip apologizes to Steven for being a bad friend. Chip, proclaiming that he must kill the babysitter to prevent others from becoming like him, dives backward from the top of a ladder onto the satellite dish, knocking out the television signal to the entire city. Chip survives the fall with an injured back and bids Steven farewell before being hauled away in a rescue helicopter. Steven and Robin kiss when one of the paramedics addresses him as Buddy. Chip asks the paramedic if he is truly his buddy, to which the paramedic replies, "Yeah, sure you are," causing Chip to smile deviously. End of story. So, what did I think of the Cable Guy? Oh, I've only seen it a few times. I will say this is pretty funny in some ways and what have you. I mean, while it may not have come to though it was a box office success, though not to the extent of Carrey's previous films. Well, some I have yet to review, like Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, for example. But I intend to do that. Actually, I will be reviewing those soon. But anyway, this film was just so crazy and what have you. The film did well, going on to make 102 million worldwide, but it failed to reach domestic projected numbers Carrey had brought to his previous attempts. And actually, Judd Apatow, who, of course, this was long before he would give us films like Anchorman, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, and all those other films, was a producer of the film. And he said people looked at this as a failure because it didn't make even more money. But it still did well against its 47 million production budget. It made 60 million in North America and 42 overseas. Anyway, it still became a success as it was released on June 14th, 1996, and became the highest opening weekend for a Ben Stiller film because Stiller also appeared in the film until Meet the Parents surpassed it 4 years later, which that's another film I have yet to review. I've been intending to review that film for some time, but rest assured, I've got it booked though for this summer, possibly for a little Father's Day treat. We'll see. Stay tuned, details to follow. The film's got mixed reviews according to Rotten Tomatoes, which has it at Rotten 55%. They say the film's dark flashes of thought-provoking, subversive wit are often, but not always, enough to counter its frustratingly uneven storytelling approach. Well, true and what have you. Audiences and film critics had mixed reactions to the change. And this film has been regarded as having a darker tone than most of Carrey's previous work. Well, oh yeah, I almost forgot The Mask and Dumb and Dumber came out before this too. Silly me. Roger Ebert included this on his worst the year list for '96, though colleague Gene Siskel disagreed, calling it a very good film and considering it Carrey's best since The Mask. Well, Ebert found Carrey's performance so bizarre and creepy, it undermined the entire story and felt the movie was more of a dark comedy than was necessary. Nevertheless, the film became a cult classic. and has been attributed to help Carrey pursue more serious roles such as The Truman Show and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I've seen The Truman Show before. I'll have to rewatch it one day. And I've yet to see Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I will watch that one day. Anyway, Carrey named the movie as one of his favorites that he worked on. According to him, he says, I have odd favorites that may not be for kids, but The Cable Guy is one of my favorite movies. I think Ben Stiller did an amazing job, and it's populated with the greatest comedy actors of our day when they were just coming into their power. I love that character. That character is all of us. We were all raised by the TV. Again, sorry for the noise in the background. Anyway, despite you might not have been in this film got nominated for 3 MTV Movie Awards, which Carrey won for Best Comedic Performance and Best Villain. He and Matthew Broderick got nominated for Best 5, but that lost unfortunately. Carrey even won for his role at the Kids' Choice Awards even. It was also nominated at the Stinkers Bad Movie Awards for Most Painfully Unfunny Comedy, but it lost. Overall, I think the film's pretty fun and what have you. It has a pretty good score from John Ottman, which was funny. I'm not funny, but which was pretty good. I mean, John Ottman did some pretty good scores. As for our cast, Jim Carrey, he did an exceptionally good job in playing Chip, aka the Cable Guy. Matthew Broderick played Steven, he was really good. Leslie Mann played Robin. I had forgotten this was one of her earlier films. I know after this she did George of the Jungle and then Big Daddy. George Segal played Earl Kovacs. Jack Black played Rick. This was one of his earlier films. We also have Ben Stiller in dual roles as Sam and Stan Sweet. We even have Owen Wilson in this, and Janine Garofalo, David Cross, Andy Dick, Bob Odenkirk, Kyle Gass. Oh, the list goes on. So they're pretty good. Their characters are pretty good too. Anyway, there was a soundtrack that was released on Sony's Work Group label, which had previously unreleased songs, most notably from alternative rock and heavy metal bands. It includes the first solo recording of of Alice in Chains' own Jerry Cantrell. It even includes Carrey's cover of Jefferson Airplane's classic "Somebody to Love," which was performed by him in the film. Let's see. It had numerous other songs as well. But anyway, Cantrell's contribution to this film called Leave Me Alone was actually pretty good. Plus, there was also songs from, let's see, Silverchair, Porno for Pyros, Crackers, Cypress Hill, Filter, Toadies, and even Primitive Radio Gods, which had their breakout hit. Well, had the breakout hit of theirs, standing outside a broken phone booth with money in my hand, which I do remember that song well. That was a big hit. So anyway, the Cable Guy, I feel like it's a wee bit underrated, but it's still pretty fun in ways. But overall, with everything I've said about it, would I recommend it? Well, I'd say maybe give it a one-time watch. That's what I'm going to say, just to play it safe, just in case. So I'd say maybe give it a one-time watch. If you're a die-hard Jim Carrey fan, then I'd say go for it. But just to be on the safe side, give it a one-time watch. That's it. So, what did you think of the Cable Guy? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. And stay tuned for my Saturday morning TV log of Hammerman coming up tomorrow morning. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, check out my reviews for some of these other Jim Carrey films. I definitely need to review more of his films, but here's a couple I've already reviewed. In the upper left-hand corner is my review of Liar Liar, which he did the following year in 1997. The upper right-hand corner is my review of Me, Myself, and Irene from 2000. Or if you want, you might want another kind of warped out film with a little TV feel to it, go to the bottom left hand corner and see my re-review of 1989's UHF with Weird Al Yankovic. And the bottom right hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.